Hello everyone! It is Thursday. It is 6:30. I said I would be here. I'm actually on time, I believe. So that is a nice change. I am just getting all set up here so I can see your comments if you join me. So please say hello and let me know you're here. I will just wait a minute or two. See if anyone joins us. I am moisturizing. I've got so many little cuts on my hands. I work in healthcare if you don't know, and so between all the gloves and the hand sanitizing and the hand washing and the dry weather, it's crazy. So putting some moisturizer. Okay, I see we have a few people. Hello, thank you for joining me. Let's get started. So if you follow me, you have seen this card, which was part of a sketch challenge for our team page. So I really liked this sketch and I wanted to play around with it. I'm in the process of making my thank you cards for all of the people who ordered from me in February. And so I wanted to use this sketch and really showcase papers that are going to be retiring out of the annual catalog. Hello, Lynn. Hello, Metaglass. So this big beauty, the annual catalog, which I'm sure lots of us have forgotten because we were so obsessed with the mini catalog. Not all of the items, but any of the, what do we call them? I keep thinking disposable, but that is not the right word. Consumable. Any of the consumables will retire with this catalog. So this catalog retires on May the 3rd. So that means that all of the DSPs will retire. Almost always all of the ribbons retire, but that wasn't actually the case last year, but you kind of want to assume that we're going to lose the majority of the ribbons, we're going to lose all of the DSP, we're going to lose anything that has to do with the 2018 to 2020 in colors, which is these Peacock, Terracotta, Seaside, Rococo Rose, and Purple Posy. So we'll lose these sequins for sure. So just things to keep in mind. So I wanted to just bring our attention back to those papers, those embellishments. We don't even always know if stamp sets will carry over or dies or folders. So I'm going to just focus on a few of those things. So this was the card I made today. And like I said, I basically took this sketch and then I just transferred it into some other projects. So I used the Forever Greenery paper. I used the embossing folder. I used another embossing folder from the annual catalog. I've used embellishments. I used these fun Forever Fern or Forever Gold Specialty Designer Series paper, which has all these cutouts. And we are just gonna make another version of that card. And we'll be using the sketch and then you can go ahead and make your own versions. I just wanna open this up for you guys because I don't know if you're like me, but so I ordered this, so beautiful, wanted to save it, wanted to save it, wanted to save it. Now we are into less than 2 months before these items retire. And I have like literally used 2 of them. So you are gonna see these products on a lot of my projects. Yeah. We're gonna start tonight. So let's get started. I love this paper. I know many of you love it as well. When it came out, everyone was so excited. It's so beautiful. The combinations of green is lovely. So this card here, I went with Pretty Peacock, which like I said is retiring. And then this is our soft seafoam, and that is what I've used for the stamping as well. We are going to switch it up a little bit in this next card. So we are going to use, I already prepped some of the items, so let's just find them here. Put that off to the side. Okay, here we go. I've already made this banner again. So this piece is the one that's gonna go across like this. I have done this, I think this one is 1 1/2, 1 3/4. roughly. Actually, you know what? This one is 1 and, what do we got? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5/8. On my original card, it was 1 3/4. You can certainly do it however thick that you want. I cut one earlier today that was 1 7/8, and it almost seemed too thick. So I personally wouldn't go thicker than 1 3/4, but that's my personal preference. This one is a little bit thinner, and the only reason I did that is because it was a scrap that I had. Now, you can see that I've already embossed it, but I want to show you what I did. Because these are these fabulous embossing folders that can go in the mini cut and emboss, which is awesome. But having said that, they're not quite as thick. And then this one was this really interesting one. It had the space in the middle with no embossing. So you can see on this one, I used this guy. And on this one, I wanted to use this one. But I didn't want this whole end with no folder. So what I did is I placed it, let's get this how I had it. I had it like this. So I put my strip of paper in here, and you can see we only covered this much of the paper. I ran it through the embossing folder, and then I took my strip of paper and moved it over so it was on the other end, and ran it through the embossing folder again. But it looks like what I did, I actually did it like this. So yes, I put it at the end so that I wouldn't have any overlap. Now you can see there's a bit of a gap here. I don't know if you guys can see that, where there is nothing, and there's almost like a bit of a crease. But I am not worried about that, because if we look at the card we're using, all of that is going to be covered. But I wanted to make sure I had embossing on both ends, and that's why I did it that way. So that's a little trick that you can do, okay? So we've already done that. That's just going to save us some time, but I wanted to explain to you what I had done there. The other thing I'm going to just point out on this card, so this circle piece, if you own these, it had, so see how there's all this greenery coming off? It had greenery going all the way around. So I just cut that off. I felt it was too busy having all that greenery throughout my whole card. So I basically kind of just went across and cut 1/3 of it off. So just something that you can do. The other thing you can do with these pieces is turn them over. They are white on the other side. So I had considered doing that. We could turn it over. You could leave it white. You could use the blending brushes and sponge on it, or any other type of sponge to change the color. We are going to stick with the gold side again. The other thing that you can do with any of these gold pieces is sometimes you'll notice they seem a little bit tarnished. So you can take your chamois, your simple chamois, and just kind of wipe them off with a bit of the moist chamois, and that will help a little bit. Okay, so we're going to use that piece. We're going to use this piece. Now, you can see on this piece, I used a 2-inch circle punch, which perfectly fits inside of this. Obviously, this is not a circle, so we have to get creative. So what I have already done, basically this shape is very similar to our stitched nested dies. Is that what they're called? Stitched nested labels. But we need to make a custom size. So, hello Carol. Hi Janet. You can see that I've already, I had a scrap of paper that was the right size, and I did cut this out. We're missing this one end, which doesn't matter. The reason that doesn't matter is because we need to make this smaller anyway. So what I actually need is so I'm gonna actually trace on the back of this so that I know, because we need to make this smaller. And this is just gonna give us an idea. So we kind of need this to come across like that. All right. So I can roughly see an imprint on the other side. So I know that I need to line this up and make it smaller. The nice thing about this one is because it has the dots, the impressions, it will kind of stick in. So if we look at that, yeah, that's going to be about the right size. to be roughly there. Okay. I'd rather have it be a little bit too big to start and have to go a bit smaller than have it be way smaller than I want. So now you just run this through your Big Shot or your mini cut and emboss. And we have a custom sized piece. So let's do that. And then we're just gonna play around with which paper we're gonna use. You guys are gonna help me, and that will help us figure out what card base we want. And we'll just get this put together in no time flat. So put that on, put our other plate on, put it through, move it over so I'm not hitting the iPad. There we go. All right, come out the other side. Now you can see we have this perfect little shape. And voila. So it's not a perfect match, but it's better than anything else. And I'm pretty happy with that. All right, we will fold this guy up and put it away. It is one of the few things that I am regularly putting away. All right, so we've done that piece. We're gonna stamp on this right now too, and then we will move on to putting, oh, you know what? No, we're not, because we're gonna need to figure out what color our card is gonna be. Okay, you guys, so we're going to have this. We're gonna have this. Now, we need to use these papers, thank you, Carol, that also have the seafoam color. You can see that we want two different patterns. They should, in my opinion, kind of roughly go together, and they can be varying amounts of busyness. So this one has seafoam, this one has some seafoam, this one I kind of felt like you could maybe get away with using it, because they don't both have to have seafoam. This one has seafoam, and then this one. So I would be curious to know which two patterns you guys thought we should put together. I was considering using this one, so we could always put these two together. And then just imagine this would kind of be on the top. So that might be kind of pretty. Or we could, if we didn't want to pull in that jade color, we could do either of these two and this one, which keeps us more in those deeper greens and still brings in the seafoam, and the gold would tie in nicely, I think, with those other greens. So what do you guys think? I would love to know which two we should put together. I'm kind of leaning towards this one and then one of these two now. So let's narrow it down for you. And then let me know if you think we should go with these big leaves or whether we should go with the smaller pattern. I will wait to see what somebody says. Second option, the smaller pattern. So Lynn says we should go with this one, these two. What do you guys think? Yeah, that's a nice idea. Let's do that. I don't see anyone else answering, so we're gonna go with that. Now, what I have done, the smaller pattern. Okay, perfect. These are both 2 inches wide. So this bigger one is 2 by 5, and this one is 2 by 4 1/4. Of course, you don't have to do them. They don't have to both be 2 inches. You can play around with that. You could also layer cardstock behind it. But what I was trying to do was use up DSP and not necessarily add more and more layers of cardstock. Also, that just takes longer for us to put that card together. So we are going to pull out our paper cutter. We want 2 inches by, so this is going to be the front one, 2 by 4 1/4. So let's just go, I'm trying to, you want to sort of not make a mess of the other side. So we'll go here 2 4 1/4. Aw, thank you, nice combination. 2 by 4 1/4. So we'll have another 2-inch strip to use somewhere else. And then this one we will do 2 by 5. And now, I don't know if you guys are already figuring out what the next question is going to be. We need to pick our card base. So I don't think it's going to be Pretty Peacock. We don't really have much Pretty Peacock this time. So we've got this, so we're going to have this underneath. I'm just going to pull this out so we can kind of see it. It'll not be on that blue piece. So far we're looking like this, and we're going to take this guy, and I want it like that. So that is looking lovely. Ooh, I really like that. Okay. So this is probably, I'm trying to just look what color we have in here. Garden Green, Just Jade, Pear Pizzazz, Pretty Peacock, Shaded Spruce, Soft Seafoam, and Whisper White. So, oh, I've got DSP flying everywhere. Let's take a look if that is Shaded Spruce or is it Garden Green. So this would be a Garden Green card. Okay, take a look at, take a look at that, you guys. And then now this is coming in. So that's definitely Garden Green, I can tell already, but I'll show you what Shaded Spruce looks like and we can decide. Or this would be a Shaded Spruce background. So if you had to choose between those two, which would you guys pick? Would you pick Shaded Spruce, or would you go with Garden Green? Let's kind of do this so you can kind of get a sense. Anyone? And then, so I see a Shaded Spruce. 1 vote for Shaded Spruce. I think I'm kind of partial to Shaded Spruce as well, because otherwise it kind of blends too much. Yep, another one for Shaded Spruce. Okay, so let's get rid of the Garden Green, and just to make doubly certain that we are all about the Shaded Spruce, let's take a look at what Old Olive would look like. No, I don't like that at all. It's funny, Old Olive I like, obviously, I mean, you know, it's one of the staples, I use it a lot, but sometimes when you put it against other things, you're just like, whoa, I do not want that color. And let's just take one quick look as well at what Pear Pizzazz would look like. Okay, so I definitely see 3 votes for Shaded Spruce, and then this would be Pear Pizzazz. So are we still liking Shaded Spruce? Or do we like, I still think I like Shaded Spruce. It's a nice contrast, isn't it? When this pack of DSP came out, when this annual catalog came out, Shaded Spruce went like off the charts. I think the paper went on back order. I'm pretty sure the ink pad went on back order. Because I remember I didn't own one of them. I think I had a spot of Shaded Spruce, but I didn't have a full-sized ink pad. And then I was like, yeah, this is gonna be so popular. So I made sure I bought them both. Okay, I'm excited. All right, let's move this aside. We are going to do Shaded Spruce. So we need to cut and score that, and then we're gonna run it through the embossing folder. So we're gonna use the same embossing folder, that Old World paper. So again, I can be hopeful that that embossing folder is gonna carry over, but we have no way of knowing until that list of retiring and carried over items comes out. Now, my understanding is that is going to be soon. I believe it's like March 24th, maybe, that we're gonna get that list. And certainly the moment I have it, you will know. But until that time, it's a mystery. But of course, if you're seeing anything that you know that you love, especially the things that I've told you for sure are going to retire, so anything in these colors, this peacock, all that family of colors, that's all going to retire. So if you like the paper, the embellishments, the ribbon, if you have the ink pad but you didn't buy the re-inker, like you want to get on those things sooner rather than later, because once that list gets announced, then people start buying it up like mad. So if you know that you need any of those things, but you only need a couple, like let's say you just need a re-inker and a pad of paper, let me know, and then we'll do a big group order for March, and we'll get all those items for anyone, and you can save on the shipping. Okay, so this is the 3D. So I have the 3D plate before it retired, so I'm gonna use that. Just gonna emboss that over here. All right, and bring this back. So this is this old world embossing folders. So you can have both sides. We're gonna go with the embossed, not the debossed. I'll be sad if this one retires. It's really pretty. All right, and now we are just kind of good to go. I'm gonna take this pretty peacock out of the way so I don't use it, and get our shaded spruce. Okay, so let's assemble, and then we'll do the stamping, and then we'll do the last bit of assembly. I was using my liquid glue, and the reason I was using that is because with the embossing, I just feel like sometimes the liquid glue, you get a better hold than the seal. But also what we know with this liquid glue is it's very forgiving, right? We still have a little bit of time to move things around. So I don't know where everyone lives. I think most of you are Lower Mainland, except for Carol. I know you're not. And what a glorious day we had today. Oh my gosh. I tried to spend as much time outside today as I could. I went for a walk. I sat out on my porch. It was lovely. All right, so I purposely made one side bigger, the side that we're gonna see more of. So I want that on the left-hand side of my card. So this is our standard card base, 5.5 by 4 1/4. You could, of course, have cut it the other way. This one, I believe I cut the other way. So it opens like this. I sometimes will do that when I know I'm making a card in this direction, because it allows me the option if I want to put ribbon up top. Of course, when we have a card folding this way, it allows us the option of putting ribbon over here. I know for both of these, I'm not going to do that, but just in case. Now, the other thing that is part of this suite of products, there's a few other things. Both these ribbons, which we aren't going to use either, but I will be sure to make some cards. So there was this combination of ribbon is part of this suite of products. And the other thing, which I'm definitely going to use because this would actually be perfect for this sketch, is these gold hoops. So you can be sure that one of my next card is going to have these, because, you know, I have a couple packs. The other thing you're going to see a bunch of soon is the mason jar shakers, because I bought all these shakers. And then, of course, we couldn't have card classes, so then now I have all these shakers. So we got to use those before they retire. All right, now we are just going to put these two pieces on. So everything I've just put on with just standard adhesive, or like no dimensionals is what I mean by that. Okay, so we're going to use our glue on here as well. I always put the cap on, even when I know I'm just going to take it off again and use it. More than anything, because heaven forbid I get distracted or I get interrupted, and all of a sudden I end up leaving it like overnight and it dries out. So we don't want that. I'm going to make this one straight. I noticed on my last card I glued it on and it is not straight. Just going to apply some pressure there because we're putting it onto an embossed surface. Also, it's kind of got, you know, it's got to go over this bit and then back down again. And then we're going to do this piece, and away we go. So I would love to see if anyone is interested. If anyone else tries this sketch, please feel free to post pictures of your card, either in the comments of this video, or you'll see once I post this actual picture of the card that we made, you could always put your sketch below it if you also make this card. I would love to see it. All right, so there is our layers. And now we are going to stamp on this. So I'm going to show you what I did with the other one. So now we're going to stamp, hello Sandy, in Shaded Spruce. This, we're using the stamp set that goes with these papers, the Forever Fern, so the whole suite here. So this at the moment is the only stamp that sort of fits the shape that we're doing. So we are using that. Remembering that this bundle of products, there's beautiful dies that go with this. Like, I'm really hoping that that does not retire. I will be very sad if this retires. Okay, so here is our greeting. Perfect, to a friend that makes me smile. And then I'm going to show you what I did on the other card. So if you noticed here, I've got some little dots because I just felt this was kind of like it needed a little bit something. The other thing that I could have done here, which would have looked lovely, was actually I could have embossed this circle with like the Subtles embossing folder. So what we're going to do is we're going to do those dots again. So I stamped this greeting and didn't like it. You can see there's dots all through it. So I didn't like what it was, but I thought, you know what, I'm not going to throw it away because I can use this as a little mask. So I just fussy cut around it, and I'm just going to lay it over top of where we've done the stamping, because I want to use these little dots, which are in the stamp set, but I don't want them where my words are. I'm also going to remember to stamp them off this time. I did not stamp them off last time, even though I meant to. So I'm just going to get out a little bit of scrap paper here. All right. So we're just going to ink up these little dots in the soft seafoam. I'm going to stamp it off once, and then I am just going to sort of stamp across this corner. And then I'm going to ink it up again, stamp it off, and then I'm going to stamp up the other side. Voila! So we don't have it where our words are because we used our little mask that we made, but we've just added a little bit more interest to our shape. All right, so that is done. And now we are just going to put this on here and then pop it up with some dimensionals and go from there. So this time I am going to use my seal. So I'm going to use some seal on here. And I'm going to make sure we get this the direction I want it, because I want it like this. Okay. I'm going to center this as best as I can, keeping in mind it is not a perfect fit because we sort of created our own little die cut. You can see these pieces are a little bit bigger than our card. It shouldn't be an issue because our envelopes are actually a little bit bigger than our card, but worst case scenario, it's going to get a little bent when you put it in your envelope. And then we are going to pop this up with dimensionals. So I'm going to do 4. And then we will decide if we want to add some bling. All right, and we are just rounding out at our half-hour mark, which is kind of what I aim to do. Also, at my house, we're transitioning into bedtime snack and soon to be family reading. So we're going to place this on here like that. Okay, so on this card, I pulled out these lovely gilded gems, which are not actually part of this suite. These ones are, they went with this paper, which you're going to see me using, this week as well, the Ornate Garden. But that's what I used on this one. I kind of, which we could use again, or we could just go with some pearls to draw in the white. There's not as much white on this card. So again, my trick for working with embellishments when I am not 100% certain that I want to use them or where I want to place them is to just kind of lightly put them on the card, not press them down, and then sort of decide from there. I don't know what you guys do when you're designing or playing with your things, if you, because you know, of course, once you stick them down, you can't really take them off. But as long as you haven't pressed them down, you can just kind of pull them off your paper. You just have to be very careful though. So I'm really, I don't know why, but I kind of go with this theory of odds. So I do like the two embellishments down here. I'm just not sure I love what we got going on up here. So let's kind of play around with this. And maybe we don't need them. Maybe we do just need two. Just seems weird to put them only in that corner. So feel free to jump in. Off. Yeah, that's maybe not bad. What do you guys think of that for 5 embellishments of these gilded gems? I'm okay with that. I still can take them off if anyone thinks that that's, you know, too much, not enough. They don't stand out, get rid of them. I'd rather use these embellishments before they retire as opposed to, okay, I got one yes, I like that. That's often all I need, as long as one person thinks, okay, we got 2s. All right, perfect. So now this is when I get in there and really push them down so that they're not gonna fall off. And there we have it, friends. There we have it. So we have quickly made 1 card, but now we have 2 beautiful cards from that lovely sketch. So again, this was based on this original sketch over here. This one. But these are the 2 that we have now. So if you have this paper, if you have any DSP, this is the beautiful thing about Stampin' Up's products, is their DSPs go together so well that you just need 1 pack of paper, turn them around, change, you know, one side, the other side, and you've got lovely coordinating cards. So there we are. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you for helping me with my decisions, and I hope you have a lovely evening. Good night, everyone.